What if I told you that the problem is not your child or you, but it's the way society views disability? Today, we're unpacking the shame, the silence, and how you can start rewriting the story you're telling yourself. Parenting a child with a disability, or with complex needs, or with medical challenges, or behavioral challenges brings a lot of shame for many of us. And I have been there. So I'm not even showing up here like I'm pointing fingers at you or anything. I'm sharing this as an us experience, okay? And this shame usually will show up as isolation, guilt, and pressure to hide your struggles. First of all, many of us are even so ashamed of the experience we're going through, to the point where we have not even been able to share it with the people closest to us, that these are the challenges our kids have, or these are the diagnoses that our kids have. And this shame also comes from the self-blame that we go through unconsciously. So many parents are blaming themselves, feeling like it's their fault, or it's on them, or there's something wrong with them. That is why their child is going through what they are going through. And this whole shame comes from how we conceptualize disability, or how we view, or our mindset about the challenges that our children are going through. And so I'm going to explain to you the 3 models of disability, okay? And when I talk about the 3 models of disability, I'm talking about how disability has historically been conceptualized or been viewed. And so the first model is the moral model. And the moral model sees disability as a punishment or a result of sin, or something that somebody did, maybe one of your ancestors did, or one of the people in your lineage did. And this model of disability leads to a lot of secrecy, like I said, a lot of guilt and a lot of shame, because it makes people in the society view the family that has the disability like their family that has something wrong with them, and they're being punished. Some people will call it karma, right? Some people will say they have a sin, or there's something somebody did, or they're cursed. And this still exists, in some societies, where when somebody gives birth to a child who has some challenges, or who has a disability, or who doesn't fit into what society sees as the norm, sometimes some cultures will go ahead and kill the child because they see the child as an outcast, like there's something wrong. And this model is definitely not healthy. And that brings me to the medical model of disability. So the medical model of disability sees disability as a problem to be cured or to be fixed. So it focuses on deficits, right? And promotes overcompliance and fix-it pressure in parenting. So with this model, it puts pressure on a parent to find out how they can fix their child. And please, let me put a disclaimer out here. I'm not saying that we shouldn't go and find support for our kids, or we shouldn't go see a doctor to make sure our kid has everything they need. That's not what I'm saying. This is about mindset, how we view disability, okay? Because a lot of times, many of us parents are stuck in that situation where a picture has been given to us about who our child should be, or what the perfect child has to be. The perfect milestones, the perfect situation, the perfect way a child needs to grow up. And so many of us are on a quest to find all the answers to make sure our child is going to fit into that perfect image. And that is what the medical model does. Yes, it's good to get support, but in getting support, we do not want to view our kids as something that needs to be fixed, right? And so that's the medical model of disability. And then we have the social model of disability, which has been very life-saving and life-changing for me. And the social model of disability sees disability as, hey, disability is not the problem. It's the barriers that are, right? And so the social model of disability emphasizes inclusion, access, empowerment, and respect. The medical model says, what's wrong with your child? The moral model says, what's wrong with you and your family? There's something wrong with you people. You're cursed. And then the social model says, what's wrong with the environment around my child? What is out there that's creating barriers for my child that I can go ahead and get out of the way so my child can still live a full life, irrespective of whatever diagnosis that they have? And so these three models still do exist. At the Parent Forge, we are on a quest to get parents to start seeing their children through the social model of disability, where we are still getting support for our kids. We are still getting all the therapies and everything they need to thrive. However, we shift our mindset from seeing our kids like there's something wrong with them and go into, hey, what is wrong with the environment? What is out there that's creating a barrier for my child, that's getting in the way of my child living a life that is full and fulfilling? So for example, if my child has a speech delay, and yes, I'm getting therapies for my child, is there anything out there, right, that is also creating barriers for my child? Because maybe the norm is that everybody speaks verbally. And so the fact that my child is non-verbal doesn't mean my child cannot communicate. So what barrier is out there? Can I find something that breaks that barrier? And that is when I could go get a speech device so my kid can still, communicate with the world by using a speech device where they can type out what they want to say. So the fact that they are not verbal doesn't mean they cannot communicate. You see? So society has created that picture of every child needs to communicate verbally, and we are hoping our child will get there and fit into that society or that idea. But if my kid is not there yet, then it means my kid has a barrier. So what am I going to do to get that barrier out of the way so that the goal of communication can still be fulfilled through a speech device? Another one, maybe my kid cannot walk yet. My kid is not mobile. Does that mean my kid is going to sit at home and do nothing? Or do I go out there and figure out what is the barrier that's preventing my child from moving around and still doing stuff that every other child can do? Can I get a motorized wheelchair, right, that can get my kid to be able to move around? When I go to my kid's school, is there a handicap accessible way my kid can get into the school without wheelchair? If there's not, then I'm going to go out there and advocate and make sure that it is created so my child can come to school and still fit in and do whatever they need to do. Accessibility. So that's what the social model does. It allows us to see the barriers out there that are preventing our children from being included in society and living the life that every other child lives, so that we can go out there and advocate and make sure that our kids have everything they need to thrive in the world out there. The long and short of all this is that you are not failing. You're just navigating a system that wasn't built for you and your child. You're navigating a society or a culture that wasn't built for you and your child. And the shame that you feel was handed to you by broken systems and broken mindsets and harmful cultural beliefs, and it's not yours to carry. You don't need to walk around feeling like you and your family have a curse, or like there's something wrong with you, or you are outcasts. You don't need to walk around feeling like there's something wrong with your child and your child needs to be fixed. Yes, we're gonna get support for our kids. We're gonna get what we can to support our children, but our mindset needs to shift so that we can now start seeing what are the barriers out there that we can advocate and make sure that our kids can be part of whatever goes on in the world. And naming these models helps you to take back your power and rewrite your story. It is your story to write. So the fact that a culture or some neighbor or some people around you have a certain perception about what you and your child are dealing with does not mean that you should buy into that story. You have the power in you to shift your mindset and shift how you view your child and your situation, and make sure that you are taking steps towards finding all the things out there that can give your child what your child needs to thrive. So I want to end this with a little reflection, right? And I want you to slow down and think about it. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, which model of disability have I unconsciously absorbed? Which model of disability have I been living my life with? Is it the moral model? Is it the medical model? Is it the social model? And the next prompt is, if I believe that the system, not my child, was the problem, what would I do differently? What would I change in my environment? What steps would I take to ensure that my child has everything that they need to thrive? So, the social model of disability gives us something very powerful: a path out of shame, a path out of guilt, and a path out of feeling like we are stuck, right? And so if this opened up your eyes, I want you to hit subscribe and share with another parent that you think will benefit from this. And I want you to check out the Parent Forge to keep learning and healing and building strength together, because we created this space for you, and it is for you to empower yourself so that you can go out there and advocate for your child. So check out theparentforge.com to learn more. Take care.